Hello again. I'm going to talk a little bit now about how to make a car suspension last forever. And a car suspension is basically some bushings, some rods, and some shock absorbers, and possibly springs, spring blades and springs. Springs are generally maintenance free. Spring blades carry a bushing in them that need to be serviced at time to time. The rubbers in the bushings will wear eventually, but they can last a lot longer than they do. A lot of the misconceptions is that it's the bad roads that cause our suspensions to not last. But if you should see the test facility where all cars go to be tested after they are made, you would rethink that statement. They are put through rigorous abuse for thousands, hundreds of thousands of miles, and sometimes the suspension doesn't wear out. What causes the suspension to wear out is when the rubbers underneath the vehicle exposed to that constant wet, heat, dry, mud, dirt will eventually bake the rubber to the metal. And then when the rubber is baked to the metal, then when the vehicle moves and is oscillating, the rubbers start to tear. To combat this problem, we have a spray grease we call lithium grease or silicone grease. When you spray that in between the rubbers under the vehicle, it will prevent the rubbers from sticking or baking on to the metals that it holds to. Also, if you soak those bushings into lithium grease or silicone grease, and then you add a sealer like engine oil sealer or ATF sealer, which ATF stands for automatic transmission fluid sealer, and you spray that sealer onto the rubbers after you use the lithium grease. What the sealer does is that it conditions the rubber and prevents them from hardening up or getting brittle. Using the lithium grease and you spray on some engine oil sealer or transmission sealer onto those rubbers, I guarantee you will have a long lasting suspension. A suspension that lasts so long that you might even end up selling the vehicle with the original suspension. Now, this works with new cars or cars that their suspension has recently been done, or cars that the wear isn't so bad, because believe me, the suspension can be worn out so bad that this trick wouldn't work, because there would be no rubber there. The rubber would have been eaten away so much that there won't be no rubber there to recondition to fit back into space. So then you would need to have a complete replacement of the rubber bushings and other suspension parts. But that trick, well, I don't have any tricks for the racking and tiring at this moment, but that trick for the bushings will keep the bushings lasting forever. And the bushings is one of the main parts and the most time consuming parts of the suspension to repair. Another thing is that the sealer also works on the shock absorbers, because when a shock absorber gets damaged, most of the times it's the seal inside that gets busted, and when it gets busted by a lot of use, the fluid inside of the shock absorbers, the hydraulic fluid, whether it be gas or hydraulic fluid, inside the shock absorber starts to leak out. And then that's when the shocks goes dead. As long as you can keep that seal good and perfect and true, maybe, who knows, I have to try an experiment, maybe, who knows, the shock absorbers maybe could last as long as ever. So I usually spray a little of this sealer on the shaft of the shock absorber and let it drain out into the shock absorber as well. So, neat little trick. Silicone grease, automatic transmission fluid sealer or engine oil sealer, and spray that on. Spray it on after a good undercarriage wash or when the car is brand new. Spray them on and you will see how long your suspension lasts. Remember to like and subscribe to see more videos. Thank you.